Ladies and gentlemen, here we are, the new man at the helm, Todd Golden. What's going on? Is it like, I'm sure when you took the head coaching job at San Francisco, the golden era, like, is that like, how do you feel about, is it just like, okay, yeah, my name, play on words, like a double entendre, like how do you take that in?
It was a nice little tagline to start, a pretty creative, creative slogan, so to speak, getting going at San Francisco. And then obviously because we had a little bit of success, it took off a little bit. And I'm glad to be carrying it on here to right. Florida as well,
Yeah, absolutely. Is it, how have these last few days been? I mean, the turnaround from the last game, the heartbreaking loss to overtime, Murray State, to what was that? Is that even a week ago? A little bit less than a week.
It was less than a week ago. It's tonight. It would have been a week ago tonight. Yep.
Like, how has these last few days just been? Are you getting sleep, or like the family? Man. Like, how's everybody doing right now?
You know what? It was, it's been, first of all, an amazing week. Like one that I know I simply will never forget. It's been overwhelming in a good way, because really when we touched down, we flew back to San Francisco last Friday morning, and when we touched down is when everything kind of happened in terms of the word getting out, that I was fortunate enough to get this opportunity. And I feel like it's kind of been nonstop since then. It was really, last Saturday and Sunday, just trying to get organized and get, my family set up so we can come back, come out here for the week. I tried to, get with all my former players at San Francisco and make sure that they were in a good spot and felt good about the future of that program. Then I had to talk to my staff there as well and make sure that those guys were situated in good spots. And so, that time went quick. And then we got on the plane Monday and came out here with my family and my parents and Megan's parents. And first of all, just blown away. We expected this to be a great place, but, since we've been here, it's really been like a dream come true in the way we've been treated by not only everybody here on campus. I mean, they've all been great top to bottom, but the people in the community as well. As the former players have welcomed me with open arms, Coach Donovan, Coach Kruger, it just feels like the perfect fit, to be honest. And it hasn't slowed down. But that's not a bad thing. I feel like we've been able to accomplish a lot in a short period of time in terms of kind of getting some of the groundwork laid. And I'm just really, really excited to be here, man.
Well, outside of, obviously I don't want to assume, have you been to like a Gator football game in your life yet?
No. I mean, I spent my 2 years at Auburn, right? So I got like a little bit of a taste of the SEC. I haven't been to the Swamp yet though. And I can't wait. I just can't wait.
Were they pretty good then? I know we know as of late football hasn't been too great.
It was the year after they lost in the national I think the year after they lost in the national championship game. They actually got up to number 4 or 3 in the country and then kind of tailed off at the end. But SEC football is a different beast, bro. It's a pretty sweet and exciting situation. And honestly, one of the many, many things that Megan and I and her family were excited about were football Saturdays. We didn't have those in the West Coast Conference. We didn't have a football team, so to be able to add that element to recruiting, to be able to add that element just to our life, to be able to have some fun like that every, for 5 or 6 Saturdays every fall, we're just really looking forward to it.
In these, I mean, when I was getting recruited, I grew up a Gator, man. I was kind of biased. My grandparents were diehard season ticket holders, and football, like they're football. I played baseball first, my first sport. Thought kind of that was the route I was going to take, and then I sprout up to 6'5" and 6'9". I started getting some coordination, and all of a sudden Billy Donovan showing up at my high school, and I'm like, shoot, I can play basketball there. So before I even committed to him, I went to like 7 different football games, man. I was like, oh, I'm really? Gonna milk my dad.
I'm going to take as many unofficial visits as I can, Coach.
Unofficial, yeah, they were all unofficials, but my dad, he's not huge into crowds and being at the in the sun, but I didn't care because these were the years with Tebow, Brandon James when he's running back, kick returns all the time. So
Percy Harvin, was he part of the team then?
Was who?
Percy Harvin. Oh, that was one of my favorite college players of all time.
Oh yeah. Percy Harvin, you just, a team is like elite when it comes to football, when you're just holding your breath because any play can be like that big one to score a touchdown, because Tebow didn't have to rely on getting guys open, throwing them. It was like, hey, 5-yard route, slant, boom, gotcha, dink dunk, out of there.
Yeah.
So man, like I was that feeling, like even after, Coach Dime didn't always want us to go to games or stuff, but we would post up in the men's facility, basketball facility, in that little area where we could hang. We just watch games and highlights and stuff right there. So you're in the right town.
Dude, can't wait.
Have you got a chance to chat with Coach Napier yet?
Yeah, you know what? I met him yesterday. Over at the football facility at the stadium, and talk about a great down-to-earth dude. He was super welcoming. We talked a lot about just some of the things that he's implemented in his first couple months on the job. And what I just really appreciate, and I think people might get tired of me talking about my time at Auburn, but it is a way for me to parallel this opportunity for me. Bruce did a great job in terms of building a relationship with Gus Malzahn when we first got there. And the football program and the basketball program weren't super, they just weren't on the same page. And then Bruce did a good job. The fact that Billy was so willing, to come and talk to me and welcome me to come to practice and welcome me to sit in a staff meeting and kind of hear how they operate. I'm going to be his biggest fan, man. I'm going to be over there all the time. He's like, you can come out to practice. I was like, I'm going to take you up on that more than you probably want me to, but I think it's really important for both of us, to have success, is to make sure that each of us know that we have each other's back. And I'm going to do that the best I can and make sure that all those guys know that our basketball program supports them quite a bit.
Yeah, I think, well, I've never been in that circle because I've never coached, but I think when it comes and you think about the University of Florida, as Coach Pearl said about Auburn has now become like an everything school. Right. Like it's not just, there's the expectation for the football, the basketball, the gymnastics, you go down the line. Florida has been kind of that for a while. Obviously, it's hit or miss on maintaining that greatness in marquee sports like football and basketball. But for coaches, for you guys, it's almost like you guys have the shared, not say struggle or burden, but just like, hey,
exactly,
I'm supporting you because I know what you're fighting to maintain every single day. And I think you got to have that, because like no one else is going to get it better than, especially being first year coach for Coach Napier. But you have so many other guys to really rely upon. So it's awesome. It's really awesome.
There's no doubt. It really, and you said it, it's really, obviously there's a lot of great things, about being able to be a head coach at a school like Florida, right? But at the same time, there's going to be moments where it's not always great, and there's some things that aren't going your way. And to know that you have that support from someone who might be feeling some of the similar struggles, or maybe have already gone through some of the things that you're going through right now, it's a good feeling to have.
Yeah. I from my experience of getting to know coaches here, and like, I know it's tight knit. I don't know if they like they get together or the families get together, but you'll get plugged in on that shortly. Is there anything else in Gainesville that you've heard about that you're like, oh, I can't wait to go to that place or check this out? Like, did you know much about Gainesville other than what they've done?
I knew that that they won a ton down here, and we played down here, I want to say in January or February of 2015. 2015 with Bruce, and Coach Donovan was still here and crushing it. And I just really appreciated the environment in the facility, in the gym with the Rowdies. Like, they were crazy. They were on the court like 50 to 60 minutes before the game, just on our players' heads while they were warming up. And just the excitement. And I loved the feeling of the town at that point. But now, after being here for, 3 or 4 days, I'm actually even more surprised at how much is here. It's not like it's a college town, but it's not a small town. I mean, there's a lot of different things, a lot of different restaurants.
Oh man.
You know what I mean? It has that college town feel, but not to the point where there's like, oh, there's only 2 places you can go eat and feel good about. It's really, really unique that way.
Just you wait till Christmas break and you'll be like, oh my gosh, there's no one here. But I wish you could have seen campus when I was there in 2014. Like, it is changed so much. Like, so much has gotten knocked down and turned into student housing. The university has expanded crazy. But when you go back and you reflect, and it's probably hard to kind of reflect right now because there's so much transition and things going on, making sure everybody's situated. the last, I want to say, if I'm right, the last professional game you played was in Maccabi Haifa. Was that the last like professional game? You know, we're 12 years removed. From that now.
Thanks for reminding me, by the way.
Hey, I just Israel was the last place I played. But we can like, is it kind of surreal? Just to think, you know, 12 years ago, you were 24 at that time. And then it's like, now you were head coach 3 years, San Fran, and now like you're sitting as the head coach of the University of Florida, gonna be playing against one of your mentors, 1 or 2 times a year. And Coach Pearl is never, Auburn Tigers have never beat the Gators.
No, and they didn't do it this year either. I watched that whole game. You
know? So don't take it easy on Coach Pearl. Make sure.
Trust me. There won't be any punches held. I promise you that.
Is it surreal just to kind of, you know, you think about everyone that's helped you along the way and assists you to become who, like, as you said in the press conference, I'm taking pieces from here and there, and I'm becoming my own guy. And like, you're here. Yeah. Like, what's the feeling like?
No, I mean, it's definitely surreal. I mean, I've had to pinch myself a couple of times, you know, since I've been in Gainesville. But you know, as I kind of look back on these last 12 years in the journey, so to speak, it's all connected. You know, it really is. You know, and it started really in my time, as I mentioned, like when I worked outside of basketball for a couple of years. And a lot of the people that I worked with when I was at IMG, you know, a lot of those people are like sports administrators and athletic directors now. And so that kind of helped me build my network and kind of gave me a great understanding of how college sports worked, right? Not just like the X's and O's of basketball, but everything from budgeting to the marketing and to fundraising, and just kind of gave me a great understanding of the whole picture of college. And then, you know, moving on from those jobs to Columbia, you know, it was just a great start for me. It's obviously a little bit of a lower level, but you're at a high academic school and there's a lot of challenges. You don't have a lot of resources. You kind of have to scrap it out recruiting wise and really kind of get in the weeds to figure out which guys are going to work, which guys aren't. I felt like that gave me a really good skill set to begin with. Right. And so had 2 great years there. And then I make a huge move going from the Ivy League all the way up to the SEC. And as you know, there's probably not 2 more different conferences in America than the Ivy League and the SEC. And again, it was an eye opener for me. I went down there and was blown away by the resources, by the support, by the amount of people that actually cared about winning and losing at that level. And the fans, you know, sitting in a football stadium that had over 80,000 people, it was just a completely different experience, and learned again so much about relationships with donors, learned about recruiting in a different geographical footprint, obviously recruiting a lot higher level rated student athletes. You know, guys like Davion Mitchell was a guy that I spent a lot of time recruiting that's had a great career already in the NBA, drafted in the top 10. Jared Harper, who ended up starting at point guard for their Final Four team. Anthony McLemore, probably one of my most favorite young men that I've ever recruited. That and Gross will admit this, I had to beg him to take him. I had to beg him. I said, man, this guy's the dude. And he ends up starting on their Final Four team, you know, and it was just, again, just a great experience where I, you know, had gone from the Ivy League and the academic to more of the sports focused conference. And then getting back out west to San Francisco, I felt was like kind of the blend of both. It was kind of a relatively good academic. Obviously the West Coast Conference is a really good top 8-9 basketball league in the country. I was comfortable there after playing at St. Mary's. It was my league. My former head coach is still coaching in that league.
Yeah, was that kind of crazy the first, like when you got the job and like, hey, coach, I'm going to see you 2 times. Every time, you know. And Mark Few, he was coaching at Gonzaga when I was playing. And so getting back in that league and kind of cutting my teeth in a different way. I was an associate head coach right away and had a lot of responsibility. I coached the defense all 3 years as an associate head coach, recruiting coordinator. Coach Kyle Smith, who's one of my mentors, as we talked about, he just gave me so much responsibility because there was a lot of trust there. And I felt like those 3 years really prepared me, along with my time at Auburn and Columbia, to be a head coach. You know, I felt like I had a great feel and understanding of all the different moving parts within a basketball program. I felt like I learned different ways to, you know, find incremental advantages and do different things like that. And when Kyle got the Washington State job, I was just super fortunate that I had a good relationship with our administration, and they knew that I had a really good relationship with the players. And I think keeping that continuity was really important to them. Yeah.
And that was a big reason why I got the job. And sure enough, none of the guys left, and we were able to win 22 games my first year. And the rest is a little bit history. But it was it's been an incredible journey, man. And I think what we've been able to do, what we were able to do this last year at San Francisco, it was just special. And I think it's something that will always stick with me and will always be a great reminder that if you can get really talented kids to buy in and play together, and we're going to go for the best recruits we can, don't get me wrong, but you want to have guys that really want to wear this jersey. I think that's one of the most important things. And even if you take a kid that might be a little less talented than a 5-star or whatever, if he's super passionate about making it work here, there's so much value in that in the year 2022 to have guys that are bought in and on the same page and pulling the same way. It just excites me because I think we can use a similar blueprint, recruit not a little, but a lot higher level of a student athlete. And if we can keep them on the same page, we should be able to get it back to how we were when you guys were playing here, man.
Ladies and gentlemen, today's episode of The Young and the Rowdies is sponsored by Honey, the easiest way to save money when shopping on your phone or your computer. Have you ever been in this spot? You're shopping for something online, you get to checkout, and when it asks you for a promo code, you start Googling, trying to find a way to save money. Thanks to Honey, manually searching for coupon codes is a thing of the past because Honey is the free tool that scours the internet for you and finds the one that best fits your cart. Here's how it works. You're shopping, you check out, the Honey button pops up, you click apply coupons, you wait a few seconds, you watch the price you pay go down. I can tell you personally, almost every time that I shop, I have the Honey extension saved in there for whether I'm buying flowers, underwear, things from whatever website it may be. Even if I don't find something that can be discounted, Honey still will scour the internet for you to try to find something to make you feel a little bit better about that purchase you're about to make. So if you don't already have Honey, you could be straight up missing out. By getting it, you'll be doing yourself a solid in supporting this show. I never recommend something that I don't use. So Honey is something very high on my list and I will never go without it. Get Honey for free at joinhoney.com/March Madness. That's joinhoney.com/March Madness. Do you have any idea? Because I can't imagine now and someone asked in the press conference of how you're going to attack recruiting, because there's so many levels of it now. I think about five or six guys cannot come back to Florida next year or whatever it may be. But now as a head coach, you got to think about high school kids. You got to think about making sure that the kids that you have, and like you just said, recruiting those high school kids that really want to wear the jersey. Right. Because you can grab a kid and then they come and they're thinking about, oh, I'm not playing, or this isn't working out the exact way I wanted it to.
I'm out of here.
I'm out of here. Keeping those. And then looking at the transfer portal now, because what was it last year? 1,600 kids entered the portal. Does it come with, as you build your staff first, and then you guys strategize on what you're going to do there? I have no idea how you guys plan on doing the recruiting stuff. I have no idea.
Yeah, you know what? It's going to be a balance of it all, to be honest. As you mentioned, we're going to have some scholarships to use. We're going to have some flexibility in terms of the type of guys we want to add. And it really is. There's not a perfect formula to it, but I think we have a really good plan in the sense of what we want our roster to look like every year. And it's not always going to be perfect, but if we can kind of stay within the guardrails of what that looks like, we'll be in good shape. And I think for me, when I think of how myself and my staff going to get Florida back to being a perennial, second weekend to third weekend NCAA tournament team, a team that makes a Sweet 16 consistently, has some runs to the Elite Eight, Final Four, et cetera. We have to do a great job here in state. I think that's one of the most important things. I went down in the locker room yesterday and looked on all the lockers. There's only 2 guys on the roster right now from the state of Florida. And that's something that has to change, and I'm going to do everything I can to make sure that doesn't last very long. And again, I think it's something that
there's plenty of talent in Florida. There's plenty.
There's no question about it. We have to do a good job keeping those guys home. We have to do a good job of making them understand why we're the best fit for them, why wearing the Florida jersey is important. I mean, to me, it's simple. It's really not that hard of a sell. You look at all these great players that have come through here in the last 20 years. see the success that they've had at the NBA level, and then you walk around, you see it's a top 5 public institution in the country. Yeah. I mean, it sells itself. Like this is I go back to when I was selling advertising for Comcast. Nobody wanted to buy my ad space. I had to beg people. And now here, I'm like, I have the best sell of all time. Like this is, who wouldn't want, we're Jordan brand, dude. We get Jordans. Yeah. Like who's not trying to.
Hey, I saw the shoes, Coach. What are you talking about? I don't have a pair. I just want one pair and I will never ask again.
Come back up, man. We'll take care of you. But like, we just have to get that message out. You know, we got to make sure that everybody's well aware of that. And I think there's going to be some excitement. I think people are going to like the way we play. I think people are going to want to be a part of that, understanding that we have really good relationships with people in the NBA. We can open a lot of doors for these guys. And, you know, so again, that's going to be the focal point. And then after that, you know, I think regional recruiting is really important. You see some guys that have been in this program that have had a lot of success that have come from out of state, guys like Dorian Finney-Smith, Corey Brewer, just to name a few, you know, Virginia, Tennessee, Brad Beal, St. Louis, Georgia, right? Like there's a lot of guys, you know, even guys from New York, right? Irving Walker, like there's guys from on the East Coast where we want to keep these guys home. And then we'll sprinkle in some regional recruits. I think, you know, we'll be able to recruit on a national level. This is a national brand. We can recruit kids from California if I need to or want to. I would prefer to just do it with kids from here and on the East Coast. But if we have to go out there, we can, or Texas. I think international is something that hasn't been hit on well enough down here. We have some really good relationships. I mentioned Jonathan Gavoni yesterday. He's a Florida grad. He's very tied in with the NBA draft, knows a lot of guys in Europe. You know, and so we'll keep our eyes peeled for guys like that. You know, I've seen firsthand what international recruiting can do for us at San Francisco, but even at a higher level at Gonzaga. I mean, you look at some of the guys they've had, Killian Tilly, Rui Hachimura. These guys are like top 15 picks coming from France, coming from Spain, coming from Germany. Like we have to go over there and make sure that we're aware of all those guys. And then after, you know, those elements in terms of the initial recruiting of freshmen, I think the transfer portal is going to be here to stay. I mean, it's just something that's going to be here. I think some of the older generation of coaches are kind of turned off by it. But like I talked about yesterday, you know, the freedom of thought for these younger guys is something that's been kind of hammered in the last couple of years, like giving them the opportunities to have a little more freedom. And, you know, I think it's okay. It's okay. You know, it's something that can be used to your advantage. If you can still find really good players that have great attitudes that want to be a part of your program in the portal. And there's always different reasons as to why they don't have left their previous spot. But we had a lot of success in the portal last year at San Francisco. We got some really, really good players that got us over the top and got us to the tournament. So with a big combination of all those things, and then when you think about it, and this year it'll be a little different, but generally you're only adding 3 or 4 guys every year. Yeah. I mean, it's a numbers game, man. It shouldn't be that hard. And I'm not trying to minimize the challenge of getting this, you know, getting the recruits that we need to win. But I think if we work hard, which we will, and if we're smart about it and we're good at identifying talent, you know, it's something that we should be able to do.
Well, I mean, you know it better than anyone else. You got to have guys that are bought into the system.
For sure.
And not bought in a way. There's sacrifice for when it comes to college basketball, there's sacrifice for everyone for the greater good of the team. That's why it is basketball and not tennis or golf or one of those type of sports. But having guys that are bought into the system and understand and can be receptive to coaching. But I wanted to ask you, you know, I was reading up on an article talking about your eye for recruiting. Jamari Bouye and Khalil Shabazz. Yeah. These are both guys that were not really on anybody's radar, you know, and ended up becoming your 1 and 2 scorers on the team, obviously leading close to top tier in the league in scoring. Like, how did you have an eye for, because that's nothing that you can't do now, because there's plenty of talent like in the state of Florida right around that, maybe some guys that are under the radar that can, like, I think you look at now, Kawasi Reeves, he wasn't very high, and you see he had like 10 or 11 DNPs this year.
He's a killer, man. He's a baller, dude. I can't wait to get on the floor with him. You know what? He's brilliant. I don't know how well you know him, but just getting to know him and kind of learning more about him, talking to his father. He was recruited by Stanford. And
Wow.
let me tell you what, I told him a couple of days ago, I said, man, I'm not used to coaching guys that are smarter than me. So you're going to have to work with me a little bit and give me an opportunity to make sure I can operate on your level. He started laughing. But yeah, no, with Jamari, for example, for both those guys, really, it was about relationships. It was about relationships. Yeah. Jamari came from really a farm town about 2 hours south of San Francisco called Salinas, California. And a really hard place to get to recruiting wise. You either have to fly into San Francisco and drive or go to Fresno and drive. It wasn't easy for people to get to, but he won at an insanely high level in his league. It wasn't great competition, but a good school. And he went to the same high school that one of my college teammates at St. Mary's went to, EJ Rowland, the guy that's played overseas for a number of years. I think he's 38 or 39 years old now, and he's still, I think, finishing up his career. And EJ's father reached out to me and Kyle Smith at the time and was like, hey, we got a point guard down here. He doesn't look like much, but I'll tell you what, he's next up. You guys got to come take a look at this guy. All he does is win, and he has a great mind, and he's just a really good player. So we go down and check him out. We watch him on the circuit. He's one of those guys. He's not playing for an EYBL team. He's not playing for the Adidas circuit. He's playing in all these crusty back gyms with the teams with like the reversible jerseys and stuff. Just hooping though and winning every game. And at the time, I mean, dude, I'm telling you, he was probably 5'11", 145 pounds at the time. And
145 pounds,
dude, he doesn't weigh. Yeah, he's still pretty skinny. But he was just serving everybody. And it was one of those things where you watch him enough. And, if you trust your gut and you trust your eye, he's good. He's just always making the winning plays. And so we're like, you know what, this guy, he needs to gain weight. He needs to get stronger. He might not be an instant impact guy, but we feel like the way we develop guys and the way we stick with them, that he has a chance to be great. And sure enough, he's one of the best stories in college basketball because he came in as a freshman, didn't play very much, got through college year one, didn't complain, didn't try to transfer, didn't, blame others. He just put his head down. And then year two, he ended up being our first guard off the bench, playing about 23, 25 minutes a game on a really good team that won 22 games or something. And then when I got the job, I just brought him in. I'm like, dude, we're going to do this together. You're going to be my point guard. I'm going to give you the keys. You got to go. And sure enough, that's when he kind of took that jump of where everybody's like, wow, this guy can really play. And then in the COVID year, he was great. He was the best player on the floor when we beat number 4 Virginia, dominated those guys and had some really, really good games. And then after that year, he was in honestly a similar spot like a Colin Castleton right now. Like, do I go? Do I not? What am I doing? And I just told him, I said, listen, I think we can get this thing going to the tournament. If you come back, I can build it around you. And, I think you're going to have the best year of your life. And I think you're going to open some more doors for yourself. And sure enough, he comes back. We bring in a couple bigs, which we needed. And we complete our team. And next thing you know, the guy's scoring 36 points in the first round of the NCAA tournament. He's going to get drafted now. I mean, he just is. He's going to get drafted, whether it's late first, early second. He's earned that. And it just shows
relationship, like you said, though.
Yeah, no, for sure. I mean, that's my guy. Dude. That's my guy. He's
and know that you're going to be a man of your word, and you that's what sometimes the kids miss. Like, the coaches want you to be just as successful as you do.
Yeah, for sure.
We want you to achieve we're not, coaches aren't trying to tell you to do certain things to make yourself look worse.
Right.
They want to help you highlight your strengths. And guess what? When we win, everyone notices.
No doubt. I'm just proud of him, man, because like 2 minutes before we walked on the court for the tournament game, I'm like, hey, go get it. Like, get it. Like, be that guy tonight. And it got off to a little bit of a slow start. But next thing you know, I'm looking down at the box score right before overtime, and the dude's got 29. I'm like, oh my, I didn't even know. I was just like, I didn't even know. But then I thought back, and I'm like, dude, this guy has made every basket for the last 8 minutes of the game. It was awesome. I was pumped for him.
I wanted to ask you, I know you got to get a lot of questions on analytics, but I watched and I was so impressed on your Swish 21 analytics in basketball, winning in the margins.
Yeah.
As you were studying and learning about these things, whatever it may be, what was something that still maybe to this day you're like, man, I can't believe other coaches aren't doing this. I can't believe, whether it's the playing with 2 fouls, I love the fouling at the front end of the 1-on-1 in late game situations. I think that's brilliant because no coaches as soon as as soon as I would touch the ball, foul me. Foul the guy. But is there anything that you just like, man, I can't believe like the stats show that this is a much better solution, that no one else is still doing this old school thing that doesn't really work.
The 2 foul participation is probably it's probably the main one, just in terms of like, if you think about it, right? The game's 40 minutes, right? The game's 40 minutes long. And there's a lot of coaches that you play that if their guy picks up 2 fouls, no matter when in the first half, they're parking them till halftime, you know? And the way that I think about it is the second half isn't more important than the first half. Like if you're down by 12 at halftime, what good does it do to have this guy, you know, for 20 minutes? If he played and you like, and part of it's different. If, you know, there's a guy that you think is going to hack all the time, you might need to take him out for a little bit, but I would even play my bigs with 2 fouls in the first half. And because there's a lot of times they get 2 fouls in the first, say the first 10 minutes of the game, you sit them for 10 minutes and they don't pick up any fouls in the second half.
Right.
So
yeah.
They finish the game with 2 fouls. And it's like, you just wasted 10 minutes of having one of your better players on the floor because you thought that you can only have 2 fouls going into halftime. Like that doesn't make sense to me. So that's an area where we've always tried to be really aggressive with. And I mean, there's probably only been one time in my 3 years where one of those guys that we played through 2 fouls in the first half has actually fouled out. It just doesn't happen as often as you might think. And again, there's going to be moments where there's certain players that are maybe more foul prone that you have to be a little more careful with. But it's just the auto bench. We call it the auto bench. Like we kind of know going into games if the other staff auto benches guys or not. And it's something that we think about with our play calls and kind of what we do and what we're going at. You know, if we see one of their better players has 1 foul early in the game, we're going to go at him, try to get him to pick up a second, knowing that he's going to be sitting on the bench for the rest of the first half. But that one sticks out to me as one of the things that I think people get a little too cautious in regards to, you know, trying to protect their players.
Right. Yeah, absolutely. That was, I was locked in. I was like, man, this is so good. Such good stuff that I never even thought about. All right, let's switch gears a little bit. Well, actually, as a coach, what is a pet peeve of yours? Because I know one of my coaches in Greece, and I get it. He absolutely hated when you gave up an offensive rebound on a free throw. That was like, he wanted to kick your teeth in. Get that, man.
That's one of them. That's one of them for sure. You know, we Coach Jonathan Sapphire, who's going to join me here on our staff, is he's my right-hand man when it comes to all this. And he actually coached the rebounding for us last year at San Francisco. And then you'll be able to ask him when he gets here on campus about how some of my reactions to some of the rebounds we gave up over the year. And I'm a pretty good players coach. Like I don't usually rip on the guys too much, but I gave him some dirty looks sometimes during the games when some of these guys are giving up offensive rebounds. Like he had anything to do with it, right? Like it was his fault that anything happened. But that was a way for me to kind of take out my frustration. You know, one of the things that bothers me, and we're pretty scout specific in terms of personnel and what we want to do.
Fouling jump shooters?
Or giving up threes. Just like we're in no threes defense. And so like if I feel like there's a guy that's a driller and you know, our whole scout is no threes. Yeah. If you give up a 3 to him, that's just not doing your job. Like it's just not. And so just little things like that where I feel like the stuff that you can control, if you don't do it, that those upset me. Like you could ask any of my players at San Francisco over 3 years. I've never said anything to a guy about taking shots. Never have. Like, and even if it's a bad shot, as long as they're playing hard defensively, getting on the glass, taking care of the rock, like I'm not going to say anything to you. But defensively, if you let a guy raise up and shoot a 3 when I've made it very clear that I don't want him taking one, I'm going to let you hear about that. Yeah. And so those are the little things, like the things that you can control to an extent. Those are more the things that I get upset about. Not if a guy's taking shots and he misses. Like I think coaches that yell at guys for that don't really understand the game of basketball. You know, nobody's shooting to miss. But you can control if a guy gets a 3 off or not. So just little things like that. You kind of pick up from
Coach Pearl, because he was very, and he said it many times, like, I'm not going to tell my guys to not shoot, my guards to not shoot, not take shots. You know, I want them to play free. I don't want them looking at the bench and thinking, oh, because I think a great defensive effort and execution can cover a multitude of you know, because balls go in and out. You know, you're not going to get an excellent shot every time, but you know, giving up giving up on the things that you don't compromise on. Like if it's take away threes, it's closed out to make him a driver.
Exactly. It's make him get inside the three and make him finish over our bigs, But yeah, Bruce was great that way. I mean, talk about freedom. Those guys had the ultimate green light. And I think, you can sense that when guys feel that confidence and they understand, like I was a shooter when I played. I wasn't a great player by any means, but I was a perimeter shooter. And I always remember that I felt more comfortable when I had green light, just like we know the deal. And so when guys are out there playing a little more carefree, they're going to make more shots. They're just not going to stress it as much. So it's definitely something that I'll carry here as well.
As we close up here, what are outside of basketball, like when the year's over, actually I wanted to ask you something else before that. I talked to Denver briefly.
Okay.
When he gave me a call and said, "Hey, this is who we're hiring as a coach," I was like, "Oh, that's awesome." I was like, "What was it about Coach that made him like stand out?" I don't have no idea who else they interviewed, but he was just like, after interviewing, they just knew. It was just like those things. Like I'm sure when you met your wife, you're like, when you know, right. What do you think it was that you brought that just obviously you don't know what else anybody else said in those interviews, and when you got like what was it about you think about you and what you bring that fits into this the mindset and the vision for Florida basketball? Because obviously when they knew, and you're the guy.
I think when I talked to Scott and Linda and Chip and Duke and everybody on the committee, and then obviously Scott and I had multiple conversations, and he mentioned it yesterday, this was the job, Pat. This was a job that once it came open, I didn't know if I was going to be able to get involved when it happened, but my wife, I told my wife, I was like, man, if we can get in the mix here, like this is where we need to be. And she totally agreed. And I think the excitement of just being so grateful for the opportunity, the excitement of, the future and what we're going to potentially be able to build here. Feel like we have a pretty good blueprint of the way we will be able to do it. And, we're good people, man. We work hard.
Oh, yeah.
And I think they just appreciated that excitement of like, the past couple of years here, I feel like this program's been beaten down a little bit, right? Like it's been criticized, and Coach White did a good job, man, went to tournaments, but just didn't get it all the way to where you guys had it. And there was just some disappointment. And I think I bring energy, man. That's what I do. And I think that's something that they appreciated, and knowing the way, and I said this in my press conference, like, I'm good with the expectations. I'm good with it. Like if we don't do what we're capable of doing, I'm good with you in a couple of years saying, "Hey, Todd, we love you, man, but you just weren't the guy for the job. We need somebody to get it back to that level." Like that's how you should think here. This is one of those jobs.
What you sign up for?
It's it. Like I feel like I could recruit here at the same level that I could at UCLA, Kansas, Duke. Like this is one of those opportunities. And so just having kind of that vision and that mentality of what we're going to be able to do, and there's no guarantees, but I feel pretty good about it, man. I feel pretty good, that we'll be able to work our tails off to get ourselves close to getting it back to that level.
That's awesome. That's so encouraging. I'll ask you just a few quick hitters.
Sure.
So I know, when the season's over, what is like the ideal vacation or thing that you do with the fam?
Are you asking for my ideal vacation or my wife's ideal vacation?
Both.
Probably somewhere near a body of water that has really nice golf courses. I think I
you
like
play
to
a little golf?
I like to golf, man. I do. I'm just okay. In the summers I get a little better when I have a little more time to play. But that's something that I have a lot of passion to do. And we like to hit the coast. Obviously we spent some time in San Diego. It's a really nice town. In Southern California with great beaches and great golf, but we're pretty simple people, man. Just somewhere that we can get a little bit of sun, get some good food, get to the pool, and just chill a little bit.
I think Mary Wise's golf tournament's coming up here soon. If you have time, if you can fit it in there, I'll be up there in a heartbeat. I can hit it a mile. I'm not great.
I'm sure you can. I bet you can hit it about 400 miles, man.
Favorite food, favorite dish?
Chicken wings.
Oh, is there? There's a Wingstop in Gainesville.
Yeah.
I think Tim Tebow has his restaurant there in Gainesville. You got to check that out.
Okay.
You already said the music choice.
Were you surprised by that? Did you think I was like a alternative guy? What do you think, man?
I was thinking maybe there'd be like a little bit of maybe the Eagles in there or some maybe.
No, it's part of like one of the things that I enjoyed the most with my time at USF, and I'm going to do it here with these guys too, is like I know it doesn't look like it, but I work out with the guys. So like when they're doing their weightlifting and stuff, I'll be in there. I'm not pushing the same weight that they are, but we got the music on in there. We're having a great time, and obviously just being around those guys and experiencing the music that they're listening to. When you can rap with them a little bit, I think it kind of gives you a little more street cred with the guys, knowing that you're on the same page with them. And it's just, what it is? It's another opportunity to spend time with them. You get another hour where they're in there working. They see you in there. They know it matters to you. They're getting better. And, it's another 4 or 5 hours a week that you can be with your team. Yeah.
Well, I'm hoping I'll get to meet your new guy. And he'll be able to put me through when I come up there, put me through a workout or two to see what he's got going on. But because I love it. I love getting a chance to. I don't do it as much as I used to.
Sure.
But because I'm not playing for anything anymore, but just to stay in shape and look like I can pick up a truck. I can't actually do it, but I look like it. But Coach, I want to thank you so much for your time. Sure. Really hope that I can get a chance to continue to talk with you more and help you in any way that you need. I really lean on Dan Cross. He's a guy that's doing all his AAU camps and stuff. Like he's got a great eye for talent. Awesome. I know you chatted with him a little bit, but thank you so much. Hoping that you can get some rest in the midst of all of this.
Thank you.
And man, everyone's excited. I know you're thoroughly excited, but more importantly, you're ready to get to work.
I appreciate it. It's great talking to you, man. And first of all, thank you for all your support. It means a lot. Yeah. And like I've told you, man, it's really important to me that you guys, want to come back a lot and be around our guys. And I think it's something that can't be sold enough, especially over the last 20 years, what you guys have been able to do. And the more that you guys are around our team, I think it's going to help us continue to raise the bar in terms of, what they expect from themselves and what we can achieve as a program.
Absolutely. Well, God bless, Coach. I appreciate you. You have a great rest of your day. Everyone, that was the Young and the Rowdies, your head coach of the Florida Gators, Todd Golden, for the golden era. Let's go, baby.
Let's go, baby.